how did this even happen? Did they just explode? Like, what happened here? And then when I was cleaning it up, she went over to the tree and opened her mouth up and just popped one of the balls right off the tree. I apologize that my dog won't stop barking at me.
Yeah, it would have been nice to be able to play our handbell.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we didn't play that. We didn't play that at all.
No, I played it once for supporters, and I'm gonna have to do a support. My hat's too big. I'm gonna have to do a supporter, so I'll do it for them.
I'm just gonna keep apologizing for my dog. We're gonna go over some of the holiday tips as far as we have a food guide that's actually on the website. So we have a pet holiday guide that goes over mostly the foods that are common during these holidays that you can share and that you should avoid with your pet. So we'll go over those today. And that's a free PDF. And then we also have you written some blogs in the past about certain things you saw in practice or in emergency medicine around the holidays where dogs and cats get themselves in trouble.
They do.
Like, I remember so many stories of cats eating tinsel, cats eating string.
Electric cord bites.
Oh, electrical cords with the lights on the tree.
Getting wrapped up in the lights and running, and there comes everything else along with it. So let me just say, at our house, we have 10-foot ceilings, so we bought an 8-foot tree. And last year we had a 9-foot tree. This year, I don't know why we skimped, but
that's skimping. My tree is like 6.5 feet, and I was like, wow, this is a really good tree.
But we were really, because we have Sarah, 2.5-year-old. Well, not even 2.5, not quite. And then we have Forrest, 1.5-year-old. So we were really careful, and we put all the breakable ornaments on the top half of the tree. That was Hugh's job because my mom's really short. So my mom got to decorate the bottom of the tree, I got the middle, and Hugh got the top. So Hugh did all the glass and breakable and real heavy ornaments, went way up at the top. And then the bottom was like things that are absolutely non-toxic, non-breakable. And then we don't use tinsel, but we use those like the shiny bead necklaces, and we just cut them open and drape those around the tree. Well, Sarah is absolutely in love with those shiny bead necklaces, and she wears them all the time. So she keeps taking them off our tree and draping them around her neck, and then she takes them home with her, and then sometimes she brings them back, and sometimes she doesn't. Forrest is jumping up on the tree, and Sarah also takes ornaments. So she'll take an ornament, she'll take it home. Sometimes she brings it back the next day, sometimes she doesn't.
Forrest.
I don't know if they end up on Gwen's tree. I don't know where they end up. Apparently her tree keeps getting decorated and undecorated as well.
Here's Forrest.
So
he's officially an adult this year, so he's a mature adult now.
His baby teeth finally fell out. He finally lost his little baby tooth first.
He turned 1. When did he turn 1?
June.
He's
1.5 years.
So yes, Forrest last year stole quite a few ornaments off the tree. A lot of family ornaments.
He beheaded Raggedy Ann. Raggedy Ann on her little ridey horse. He took her off and took her head.
So that is actually number 1 on your holiday health hazards for pets is Christmas trees, whether real or artificial.
Ours is real, and the bottom 3 feet now have 0 ornaments because as Forrest and Sarah take them off, we move them higher.
Yes.
So our tree is top heavy.
And so cats climbing the Christmas tree. Oh, so this year, my cats actually are pretty good about Christmas trees, but I usually have a fabric tree skirt, and they love that. Edward will get under the tree skirt.
Ours love the fabric tree skirt.
Loves to, get the zoomies on it, whatever. But this year, we actually got a metal tree ring
around the base. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, so because it's metal and it's just a vertical metal decorative shell, there's nothing for my cats to climb on or get under, and so everybody has left the Christmas tree alone except for the toddler in my house.
Well,
toddler has maimed the Christmas tree.
My 3 older cats are totally ignoring the tree. They like to lay under it, but they're totally ignoring it. A couple of the kittens came in, especially when we were filming the Viva Raw cat food, because we needed cats who would eat on camera, which they'll eat anywhere, anytime. So they came in, and I looked over at one point, and Harry was working his way up the middle of the tree. Gwen snagged him through the bottom.
Yes.
So I think that the kittens would love to come in and have a ball with the tree, but
Well, and so the tree, you have on here that the tree can also be a hazard just from tipping over.
Well, sure.
Like
I've had many trees
climbing up the
I've
trees.
had many trees go over.
Or a dog, like dog jumping on it.
Yep.
My biggest problem has been with the ornaments, because the first year I got Mila, I remember I called you in a panic because I had those little glass ball decorative ornaments. And for whatever reason, like, Mila is such a good dog. She really doesn't get into trouble. I have no idea what caused her to get into the ornaments. But for whatever reason, she discovered that they kind of pop in her mouth.
Oh, she liked to go.
Yeah, so she liked to just kind of like close her mouth on the glass ornaments, and they pop and split open into a million pieces. But the problem is it's glass. So, and I was like, oh my God, I came home and there was just glass everywhere. And I thought that she like crashed into the tree. I was like, how did this even happen? Did they just explode? Like, what happened here? And then when I was cleaning it up, she went over to the tree and opened her mouth up and just popped one of the balls right off the tree. And so that's when I called you in a panic. I was like, what do I do? And I think you recommended I feed some like oil and bread
with oil, because it'll wrap around the pieces of glass and help slide them on through. So
yeah.
that's
So
what
she was fine. She had no visible injuries, and she loved getting to eat the oily bread. I freaked out though. That's scary. That was one of the scariest things I've walked into, because yeah. So she
thought it was a great game.
She had a blast. Then she had a heart attack because she doesn't like getting in trouble, and I literally screamed. I was like, ah! So Mila, yeah, she hasn't touched a Christmas tree since. She was, I think, slightly traumatized by me being
my other
traumatized.
dogs are like, tree? What tree? It's just forest. He'll learn.
I think that the other thing I've had issues with is them drinking out of the base too.
Well, and that is a problem, particularly if you put the preservatives in the water. You absolutely don't want them drinking that stuff.
Yeah, I think in general, just because it gets stagnant and
Icky.
moldy, and you don't know what they spray on your trees. Which I realized your tree last year got infested with spiders.
We had a spider hatch out of our a spider hatch, as in
Just one.
thousands of spiders hatched out of our tree. Our tree actually left Christmas morning. There were so many spiders that we were having everybody for Christmas dinner, and Christmas morning we got up, undecorated the tree, drug it outside, and then just had to put the presents on the floor.
So, like, obviously having...
That one was not sprayed, clearly.
Yeah, like having a million spiders hatch in your Christmas tree is not how anybody wants to start Christmas, but I'm also kind of scared of the stuff that they spray on my trees, because there aren't any things hatching out of it.
Yeah, well, nothing's hatching out of my tree now. Well, it hasn't been that long, though.
So next year, I thought about that after I bought my tree, but next year I might go like all hippy-dippy and find an all-natural whatever tree and just like spray it with cedar oil, or I don't know. What essential oil do spiders not like? Something.
Probably cedar oil would work. I
I
hadn't thought of that.
Next year I'm gonna plan ahead, but this year my tree is probably covered in something gross.
I don't know if ours is or not.
So can you think of any other hazards around Christmas trees? That was the main things that you listed from last year.
That's kind of the biggies.
And just
those are the things that I have
if you have
a lot
artificial trees,
I've had
obviously.
a lot of Christmas trees fall over.
Really?
Yeah, we have a really good base now.
Well, and I guess maybe because all my Christmas trees, I get really small Christmas trees, so they're not very tall.
I remember as a kid, our trees going over all the time.
Really? That doesn't surprise me. Nanny and Pop-Up aren't exactly the...
She's probably watching.
Hi, Nanny. Secure your Christmas tree better. Jeez. I don't think they should be that top heavy. Okay, anyway. Other holiday plants. So poinsettias?
Poinsettias, everybody thinks that they're poisonous, but they're actually not. They will cause GI upset. So, 1985, I had a kitten, and he just kept vomiting, and he had diarrhea, and I did x-rays. We didn't have ultrasound back then, and I couldn't find anything. So I did an exploratory on him exploratory surgery to try to figure out why this cat kept vomiting. And what he had in his stomach was poinsettia leaves and flowers. And I had a big poinsettia plant, and apparently he was noshing down on this plant, and it was causing vomiting and diarrhea. Not deadly, but...
Not good.
Not good, so... The poinsettia went after surgery.
So this also had, and I'm not good with plants, so you're probably going to have to pronounce some of these, but you also have poinsettias, chrysanthemums, evergreens, holly, ivy, juniper, lily, mistletoe.
And amaryllis.
So
amaryllis are probably the most toxic on that list, that and the lilies, particularly for cats and particularly the bulbs. How do you keep dogs from doing a tinkle break at the tree? Well, my dogs wear piddle wraps. Forrest has one on because he's a marker.
Forrest has a marking problem, so
we have marking wars, so we use our belly bands, which are on our website in multiple sizes.
At drjudymorgan.com.
Multiple sizes and colors.
Forrest is wearing a size small.
No, that's actually the medium that he has on. He can wear a small or a medium.
He's wearing a size medium.
George can wear a medium or a large, and George is about 16 pounds.
He's wearing the solid color pack, but they also come in patterned colored packs.
There's one that's little blue jeans. But
and
anyway,
if you want training advice, you're probably asking the wrong
do not
people.
ask me about house training dogs. I can unhouse train any dog. I'm really good at that. What about Christmas cactus? Again, I don't think they're poisonous, but you really don't want them chewing on them.
Yeah. And so those are the plants that are going to cause GI upset or some like toxicity issues. But you also have many horror stories just from decorations. I know like cats and tinsel, I think, are the most notorious.
New tinsel.
Or bows, cats and ribbons.
Ribbons. So every one of the presents that we wrap this year has these big poofy bows, and they have the long strings that come out of them that we curl. So they're like 4 feet long. That would be a disaster if a cat, and I mean, your brother's cat Q, if he could find a bow, it didn't matter if it was a long string or just the little stick-on bows, that cat loved bows more than he would strip every present. So all of our gifts, believe it or not, I'm done shopping and I'm done wrapping, which is ridiculously unusual for me because I'm usually Christmas Eve like, oh my gosh, I have to do all this. So, but we're way ahead, but we have all these packages with bows. So we have a walk-in closet. Every shelf from about here, like every shelf all the way around the walk-in closet has packages with these big bows because we can't leave them on the ground, even in the closet, because Forrest would go in there. Our cats really don't go in there, and we can't put any packages under our tree until Christmas morning. Even Christmas Eve, if I put them out, the cats would be all over them. So Christmas morning, the presents will go under the tree.
So really quickly, can you just explain why ribbons specifically are a terrible foreign body for pets? I mean, so there's different kinds of foreign bodies. So when they swallow something, like if they swallowed a golf ball.
Or a pacifier.
It
makes a cork.
Right, so that's different from like a ribbon. So could you explain why,
so
like how
ribbon and string. So if you're making like a big roast and it's got strings tying it together,
ooh, that's always
and
bad.
they get in the trash, let me tell you, they will go for those. So these are called linear foreign bodies because it's a long line. And what happens is usually one end of it will get hung up somewhere in the stomach, in the intestine, somewhere. It'll just get hung up. And then the long piece will trail down the intestines, and then the intestines will accordion up along the string. So kind of like a hair scrunchie, it would bunch up along the string. And then as it gets tighter and tighter, it actually cuts like a knife through the intestines. So I would hate so I had a dog trainer once who made a rope toy for his dog, and it was a large breed dog. And the dog played with it, but then he shredded it and ate it. And the toy, what it was a big ball of like yarn or string that he wrapped around and around and around and around. So it literally probably had 50 yards of yarn on this thing. And the dog ate it.
Oh no,
and
that's a nightmare.
Yeah, it was. By the time he brought the dog to me for surgery, we got in there, it had cut through the bowel in a dozen places. So we got it out of there, we did the repair work, and the dog did great and then died a week later when it got septic because it just broke down. So linear foreign bodies are the worst. Keep strings, like cooking strings, wrapping strings, ribbons, tinsel, so bad.
Yeah, and with with those types of things, it can be hard because the symptoms can be like
anything. Like you might think,
could be
oh,
vomiting,
well,
diarrhea,
he,
not
he
eating.
got some food he wasn't supposed to get, so he's vomiting, or has some diarrhea, or oh, it was, the holidays were real exciting, and now he's not eating very well, and so the symptoms can mimic so many other things. So be very vigilant about that kind of stuff.
And especially for kitty cats, because they love ribbon and string.
They love string.
And then the last thing was holiday food and drink. Is that the last thing? No, there's 4 more things.
You got a bunch of stuff on there.
Okay, we're gonna circle back on holiday food and drinks because it's a whole PDF on its own. Entertaining guests. This is my passion point because I lose a cat every time I have guests over to my house.
You do.
Every time I lose a cat.
That's because your cats stalk the door. You open the door and they're like. Psh.
Well, and I realized
You literally have to be kicking cats out of the way as you come in.
So dating somebody who is deathly allergic to cats, he obviously doesn't have any cat experience.
No
and
cats in.
So my boyfriend will just leave the door open because he's never had cats before, and I feel like people that grow up in a cat home, that's a cardinal sin. It's like, shut the door. Were you raised in a barn? Come on, you don't have any indoor cats trying to bolt as soon as you open the door, because that's the type of house I live in. And let me tell you, my cats know. They know when somebody walks in the door that's not a cat person, and they run right through their legs and disappear.
They're bad. So when Gwen got married a few years ago, a bunch of us.
I lost a cat.
A lot of parents, in-laws, everybody was at Gwen's house, and one of her cats, Gwen wasn't home, and we were just doing stuff, and somebody left the door open, and one of her cats left, Reginald. And so then when Gwen came home, we had to say, oh, by the way, your cat's missing. Actually, it was your wedding day, or the day of the rehearsal dinner.
It was, I think he was lost for my wedding day.
Yep.
I think it was the day before my wedding, and we were like, oh, who wants to tell Gwen?
Nobody wanted to tell Gwen, and then it took a week.
We lost your cat.
It took a week to find the cat.
Yeah, and then it turns out that my cat will not come back, so I have to trap him. But now that I've learned, I bought a have a heart. I bought a have a heart trap, which if you have cats, purchasing one off of Amazon is a great idea. And now I have to, if my cats get out, I have to trap them, and I can trap them the first night, usually. But if not, they won't come back.
They are pretty food motivated.
They just get scared and they won't come when I call them or anything. So I've learned I have to trap my own cats.
Well, our office cat UV back at Clayton, that happened one day. A delivery person left the door open, and UV went outside. Now UV started out as a stray cat on the farm, so you would think he had outdoor sense. Well, at that point he'd been living inside for 15 years.
Wears off.
He got outside. He got scared. We called every delivery driver that had come that day. We had them check every stop where they had gone. We had them check their we did everything trying to track down this cat. And about a week after he disappeared, we looked out the window of the pharmacy and went, oh my gosh, there's UV sitting under a piece of old foundation in the little wooded area. And now I'd owned this cat for 15 years at that point, went outside. He darted back under there, would not come, scared to death, scared out of his little wits. I'm like, you used to be an outdoor cat.
No.
Too scared to come to us, so we had to trap him.
Yep. Some indoor cats, they get outside, they panic.
Freak.
They're like, I've never seen you in my entire life. I'm like, I've had you for the last 8 years.
You don't know who I am. Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, so now I learned holidays, special occasions, my cats get locked in a separate room. So that way, usually a bedroom or somewhere that guests aren't going to be in. So that way there's 2 layers of cat security. And then if they do get out, both my cats are microchipped. They don't wear collars. Edward sometimes wears a little breakaway collar, but I don't keep collars on my cats generally. But having a little ID tag on them definitely wouldn't be a bad idea during the holidays.
Well, so we have a problem at our house. Our door from our garage into the laundry room doesn't latch really well. The builder has to come fix it. But it doesn't latch really well. So unless you were really intentional, it will kind of pop open a little bit. And Forrest, because of his hydrocephalus, if he's standing 4 feet in front of me and I call him, he will look the other way. He is directionally challenged. He cannot tell which direction you're calling from, so he goes the other way. So at our house, the rule is all the garage doors, the doors to the outside, have to be shut at all times. Like, we don't just leave our garage door up, because if somebody went out through the laundry room door into the garage and it didn't latch and a garage door was open, Forrest would leave.
Yeah.
So he's only gotten out once. We have a fenced backyard that he goes into, and even that has a double gate system. So that, like, I want belt and suspenders on everything. So we were away on a trip. I think it was our Texas trip, and my cousins came down from New Jersey to visit my mom. We have cameras at the house, so we have cameras outside, front and back, so we can see people coming and going. We live back along driveway, and we have a bell system on the driveway, so we know when someone's coming. Otherwise, there'd be no way for us to know. So Hugh and I are driving on the highway, and his phone is dinging because he gets a notice every time somebody passes under one of the outdoor cameras. And so I looked at it, and this is also a way for me to keep tabs on Mom when we're away, because I can see when she goes back and forth to the barn. She makes like 20 trips a day back and forth to the barn. She just likes to go play with the animals and feed them and check on them. So I look, and I knew my cousins were coming, and so I had seen them come in the morning, and then I was like, oh, they must have just left. So I clicked on the video, and I see my cousins leaving and my mom waving goodbye, and I see this little shadow shoom, going down the driveway. I'm like, that was Forrest. Forrest just ran down the driveway toward Gwen's house. And I'm like, this is so not cool. And it had been like 20 minutes. And then, of course, I never saw Forrest come back in. So I called my mom, and I'm like, do you know Forrest is outside? She goes, well, he's not anymore. I'm like, so the good news is she actually knew that he left. And what he did is he ran all the way down, it's a couple hundred yards, down to the fence.
It was quite the little workout.
It's a couple hundred yards down to the fence between our house and Gwen's house. There's a gate. Luckily, he didn't go through. It's a solid fence. He didn't go through the gate. He got to the fence, turned, and of course everybody's running after him. He's a fast little bugger. Everybody's running after him, calling his name, and he's running the other way because he doesn't know which way to go. And he hit the fence, turned around, and then ran all the way back to our barn. So that's like 500 yards back the other direction. Goes into the pasture with the draft horses. I think he hit the hot wire and then turned around and ran back up the driveway toward the house, and that's where everybody pounced on him. But this is kind of, so my mom's telling me this story, and I'm like, is Forrest in the house? Do we have Forrest?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, he's in the house. That's all good. And I'm like, it's not all good.
Yeah, you gotta start that conversation with, hello, Forrest is safe and in my care.
What she said was,
Let me
how
tell
do you
this,
know he was out?
Let me tell you this cute story you'll find hilarious.
She said, how do you know that? I'm like, we have cameras, Mom. I've been watching you.
Yeah.
She's like, oh.
That's like, well, Reggie, my cat that got out during my wedding, he's also deaf. So trying to find an all-black deaf cat
In the dark.
I'm like, it's impossible. There's no way. You just gotta
No,
stumble upon him.
Now when your cats go out, though, they really like to go under your house. So that's always a good place to look.
Well, no, so I have two cats, two indoor-only male cats. But when I'm now her neighbor and she lives on a farm, so when Edward will bolt out the door, half the time, I don't chase him anymore because I'm like, whatever. Like, I basically live on a farm. If you want to be an indoor-outdoor cat after 3 whole years of being an indoor-only cat, like, whatever. I'm not going to chase him down, like, to get him back inside. Well, the other night, I walked down to feed the horses, and you have how many barn cats? 12 cats out there?
9 in the barn.
9? That's it in the barn? 10? No,
9
yeah,
are in
nine,
the barn,
9
and
in
then
the barn.
2 of the indoor cats also go out.
Okay,
but
so
they don't go to the barn.
There were approximately 10 cats, but he followed me. This is my indoor-only cat, and he followed me down this dark path. And then I opened the barn door, and I turned the lights on, and he is following right behind me, and you just see 10 cats. And he turned the corner, and my little indoor-only cat, his eyes, like, bulged. He was like, what? He's like, Mom, you sneak down to this, like, cat club every night? Like, and you didn't invite me? And of course, your cat's, he's immediately like rolling around on the barn floor, like chirping at them, making all these noises. He's like, I'm here to join the cat community. And all your cats immediately just smacked him in the face. Immediately. We're like,
You're not part of the club.
You don't belong here, sir. You smell like the house. You don't have what it takes. And yeah, they bullied him a little bit. And then he ran back to my house.
Yeah, well,
So that's my outdoor cat. Very adventurous. He's getting bullied by all of the barn cats.
I wonder if he'll meet up with TC.
Well, Porch Kitty, who is like a munchkin cat, she's like this little beach ball tortie, and
Short legs.
she's got these little stumpy legs, but she is feisty. She's probably
mean.
She's probably the feistiest one we have that showed up, and so she will come up. And at my male cat Edward is at least 13, 14 pounds. Like, he's a pretty big guy. And this little tortie will come up and just kick the crap out of him. There's little white and black tufts of hair on my porch.
Yeah, she's feisty.
And the whole time I can just hear him like chirping at her, like trying to be friends.
He just wants to play.
He just wants to be friends.
He's not very bright. All right, let's talk about fire safety. So we talked about chewing on cords, and boy, talk about a fire looking for a place to happen, open wires, but also candles. I used to really be into candles when my kids, when Gwen was, I don't know, a couple years old. I used to have Party Light candle parties all the time. Like, I owned everything I owned everything that Party Light made. Like, I had all these little votive holders and, sconces that hung on the walls, and like. So I remember one time we were having a beer tasting candle party. So the guys were all into all the beer tasting while the women were all playing with candles. Anyway, that's just how it worked out. So your dad wanted to do a beer tasting. So
I was about to say, I would definitely be on the beer side. I don't care about candles.
But, so we had like probably 40 people in the house. And all of a sudden, I see our cat, Elemento. He was a tuxedo like Edward. And Elemento had his tail, he was sitting up on a half wall, and his tail was in a candle.
Oh no.
And it took a little bit for one of us to notice, and for the cat to even notice that his tail was in the candle. And so then he took off running through the house.
On fire.
On fire. Candles, cats,
Yeah, I don't even have candles in my house, but for Hanukkah, for like lighting the menorah, I imagine you don't want your cat involved in that process. I don't want Edward involved in that process, I'll say, because the only times I've tried to light candles around Edward, he has tried to touch the flame with his paw, and I said, that's a no.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the other problem with candles is that a lot of times if you have inexpensive candles or they're not really pet friendly with the fragrances and the oils, the VOCs that they put out, so they can be really toxic, particularly for cats. So I'd be really, really careful with anything like potpourri, anything that is going to emit scents and oils. This is the time of year when we get reports of a lot of cats going into liver failure and dying because people are making their house smell good.
Or like asthma symptoms.
Yeah. So like when I wanted my house to smell good around Christmas, I would just put on the stove to simmer a pot of water, and then I would put cinnamon and like real spices and herbs like cinnamon and cloves things that smell good, and just let that simmer really low, and that makes your house smell really good without using inexpensive oils or synthetic oils that could be toxic.
That's a good pro tip. The other thing he had on here was batteries.
Oh my gosh.
Which is definitely, I have large dogs and a small toddler, and I have learned the hard way, $6,000 later, that sometimes the dogs like to eat the children's toys. So this Christmas, the dogs are not allowed to be in the same room as the children's toys. Yep. Because I don't want to pay to have them removed surgically.
Those little flat round batteries, they're a huge problem. But chewing any batteries, really, really an issue, or swallowing them.
And fireworks and noisemakers are more for New Year's, so I think we'll probably do a little bit of a more catered segment, probably closer to New Year's. But
are any scented candles safe? So I actually just did a presentation on this where I'm part of an indoor air summit that I think goes live in March. So you want to do things like beeswax candles. If you want essential oils that are pet safe and that smell good, definitely look for something like the Animalio from Melissa Shelton. I mean, those are made by a veterinarian for use around animals, and they're they're for medical purposes, but they smell good. So if you're like if I was going to burn candles, I would get unscented, like beeswax candles, something like that.
I'm trying to think.
And I would get my scents from elsewhere. Like
we don't
something
don't
natural.
carry them, but I think Kin and Kind maybe has pet safe candles.
I think they do.
Who is the other brand? There's another brand that I'm thinking of that has pet safe candles.
Yeah, we had ones that we sold at Clayton.
But I would get, so Kin and Kind, I'm like nearly positive they still sell pet safe candles, but I would look for candles specifically that are using high grade essential oils that are safe for pets.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of added synthetic fragrances which are actually highly toxic to us and our pets, so not good for you either.
Yeah, not good for you either.